questions. So the first speaker is Xiao-Liang. You will talk continuous talk about random Tensor network.
Thanks. Okay, so a brief recall of what I talked about last time. So basically, we talked about holographic duality and then why we want to use tensor networks to understand it. So roughly speaking, we have a pivot space here on the boundary theory. We have a pivot space with many states, and then we want to represent the states. So the whole observation of holographic duality is there is a geometrical interpretation for some of the states, not for all the states, but for some of the states. And the different geometries correspond to different states, or more precisely, different geometries give you different subspaces, because you can consider for each given geometry, you can consider small fluctuations around it, gravitons and matter fields, and these form like a subspace of states in the quantum field theory. And of course, you can make states that are outside any of these subspaces. Like you can take a cat state, which is zero position of a black hole and the vacuum. So that kind of thing will not have a geometrical interpretation. But so basically, there are some states which are geometry plus small fluctuations, and then so they correspond to some space in the quantum field theory, and then we want to use tensor networks to describe them. So I will first talk about just how to describe a fixed state. Which means we just fix the network. So fix the network, and then we study the property of the state. That's what we are doing. We already started doing. And then later we talk about how to think about these fluctuations, and even think about big fluctuations that contain everything. Okay, so RT and random tensor network. So we talked about the simplest. We talked about the simplest example last time, where we have a random tensor with two indices, and they have some different dimensions. And we calculate two parts A and B with dimension B and DB, and we calculate the second linear entropy. Or more precisely, we calculate this quantity with random average. And let me sketch the calculation, and then we will generalize that to generic network. So this trace, and the important thing is the linear function of the density matrix of the whole system that's not traced. So it's a swap operator on A applied to two copies of the density matrix. Matrix in this case is a pure state, which is just the projection operator on the state B. Now, if I average over B, we use the fact that for higher random states, this is completely determined because it has very high symmetry. This is determined to be D is the total dimension, swap is the swap action on the full system, which is the same as the swap action on both parts. So making use of these, so the key ingredients are this equation and this equation. And once we make use of these, we can calculate this quantity. You can also study the fluctuations of these quantities, and once you verify that fluctuation is small, then you can approximate like the average second radian entropy. Which is like the log of the average. You can say this is approximately equal to first take average and then take the log. And that has this behavior that is called a Katie curve as a function of the portion of system size in A. And system size is the log of Hilbert space dimension. So it's like log of EA over log of D. If you plot this as a function of system size, subsystem size, and it's almost linear, which means the incumbent entropy is almost maximum until you reach the top. And there is an offset of log 2 here. So this by itself is an important result, and then the tensor network results will be generalizations of this. I won't go to details about the discussion about fluctuation because of time. So also for random tensor network case, you need to do the same. You need to do the same discussion like here. Like you always calculate the average of some quantities like that because they are linear. They are polynomial in their symmetry. So we know how to calculate them, and then you study their fluctuation to take this approximation. Okay, so now we want to generalize this to the random tensor networks. So basically, let's consider some network, and as we said last time, in general, the tensor network is a state that's given by projection on every side, every vertex here. Projection onto some link states that connecting that has an EPR pair across across each link. So let me define psi p as the state before the projection. I want to define it this way because it turns out that the exact form of this state is not important. And that's very good because we can consider generalizations of the tensor network by instead of projecting on EPR pairs, we can project on more complicated states. And this will plot this. So whatever state this is, the state has the form that you take that state, which this state is a state of both bulk and boundary degrees of freedom. So this state is like it has Hilbert space like here and also has some Hilbert space here. And then the projection remove all these Hilbert spaces in the bulk vertices. Okay, so then now if I want to calculate some say some linear entropy of this subsystem. So now after the projection, I have 4 qubits here. I can calculate the linear entropy of the subsystem. So we use the same thing as there. And then we can go further because this rho, which is the dense matrix of the side, is a linear function of these projections. So you can actually write everything in terms of linear function of two copies of the projector, just like that. So you see what I'm doing here is I'm combining the trace in the physical boundary Hilbert space with the trace in the bulk, which is done here. So So this is saying like you take this parent state, which lives both in the bulk and boundary, and in the bulk you do this projection. In the bulk, in the boundary you do this swap, right? So this is clear. So then now if you do random average, the random average only applies to this random projector. So we don't need to know any detail about here. We can already apply this average operator. And what you get is a sum. Sorry, what you get is you get these two channels for every vertex. So you get for every vertex, the average gives you two channels, right? So identity or permutation.
Is that single product in X?
Oh yeah, thanks. It's a direct product.
And also in the about line, you have a single product in X, but shouldn't it be double product first and then it becomes single product? Is that what you get from the backend?
You actually get a single product.
From the backend. Before the boundaries.
Yeah, because it's just a direct product. So I think yeah, there is no sum. So I think you don't have two X separate.
Right.
So then when you do the average, this thing has no correlation between each other. Okay, so this is the key step. So you see what happened is you can just straightforwardly generalize that calculation, and what you get is by random average you get a binary choice at every vertex. At every vertex you either get a identity or you get a swap operator. So now if you expand this, you get 2 to the n terms if you have n vertices. So you get 2 to the n terms. Each term has either a swap or an identity on each vertex. We can think this as an Ising model. So we can define the Ising variable Ising spin Sx for every vertex, and we say Sx is +1 means I choose the identity sector, and -1 means I choose the swap at that set. So there is 2 to the n configurations of the spins correspond to 2 to the n terms in the sum. So we just need to figure out for each given configuration what is this trace. But for each given configuration, you basically have a term like this with these coefficients. With these coefficients, for a given configuration of spin, let's draw something. For a given configuration, remember the configuration only applies to these sets. So let's say I give you a configuration then that means I have swap on these sites, right? So you get like product of all the sites that has swing down. Product over all the swing down sites of the swap. And then times rho p cross rho p. But this actually by itself is a linear entropy quantity, right? Because as we shown, the linear entropy, second linear entropy is like some swap acting on two positive vector matrices. So this is like now also a linear entropy, but it's a linear entropy of this state before projection. So it's something very simple. Rho p is just some EPR pairs. We know how to calculate their entities. So this is basically the constant, which is not so important. Let me just say omega some constant times e to the minus s2 of the parent state, this parent state before projection, for the spin down regime. So for example, here, if I choose this configuration, I'm calculating the linear entropy spin down region union the boundary A. Yeah, let's say I'm calculating the entropy of the boundary region A. So now for this configuration, I'm calculating the linear entropy of these sets. So because you are just calculating this in a simple EPR pair state, you immediately know the result. So like this link will not contribute to entropy because I included both sides. But like this link will contribute to entropy. And if you assume these EPR pairs are maximally entangled, this link will contribute like log D entropy. And so every link that crosses the boundary of the regions, which means where the icing spin is anti-parallel between the two ends of the link. Whenever that happens, there is a entropy which is log D. This is the key part of the duration. Is there any question? So basically, this for the EPR pair state, this entropy is contributed by links across the domain, between spin down and spin up domain. So you can write this in a simple form. Into an icing action. So the icing model has a simple action that we are familiar with, which is simply just like that. It's a ferromagnetic icing model. So if the two spins are anti-parallel, you have a cost. You have an energy cost of log D. That corresponds to this second linear entropy log D for this. And there is a boundary term because if you need to include A. So that means that it's like I have a spin down fixed here for the region A as a boundary spin. And the boundary spin fixed to be down here and up elsewhere. So you can write boundary term because this sum only goes over the bottom. So you sum over boundary term. So say x is next to the boundary, Sx hx, and then hx is this boundary spin, which is down in A and up in the complement. So basically, what you get is that this quantity trace rho A square average in summary. This quantity is a classical icing model Cartesian function with a boundary condition. It's called ZA, which means that it's an icing model with the boundary condition that in A region you put spin down, in B region you put spin up, and the icing model action is actually the linear entropy of the state, which is in this case is just ordinary icing model. But if you have a more complicated state, you can get more complicated icing model. So using this derivation, it's straightforward to see where the Xiao-Liang formula comes from. Because what happens is if you take the limit where so this is beta, so the icing model has an effective temperature like this. So if this goes to infinity, which means the bond dimensions are large, then this ferromagnetic icing model is in the ferromagnetic phase, and this sum over all the different icing configurations will be dominated by the lowest energy configuration. And the lowest energy configuration is exactly given by where the domain wall is shortest. So there is an icing domain where the spin down bounding this boundary spin down region and up, and then you vary the position here to find the minimal area here because this term is just proportional to the area of the domain wall. So you find the minimal area, and in that limit, the Cartesian function of the icing model divided by the normalization constant, which is like taking everywhere spin up. This difference will be this ratio will be just e to the minus log d times this minimal surface area. And that's what gives you this RT formula. I mean, well, it's not exactly the RT formula. RT formula is for monoid entity. We get that formula for the radiant entity. So we get SA2 log D times the minimal surface area.
Where go beyond linear surface?
Sorry?
Where go beyond linear surface, like say quantum curvature, like
you mean like finite, when I have a finite beta, then
so you could we could get a quantum curvature now if you do use finite beta.
if you expand in beta, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
You
okay.
can. You can do that.
You can do, but it's not being done now.
The subtlety is this thing fails. I mean, if you want to include systematically the correction, you have to also include the contributions from, well, unless you say I'm just interested in this. But this is not very physical because I haven't normalized it. So even if you don't want to like calculate the entropy average, you say I'm satisfied with calculating this average. At least you should first normalize it.
Okay.
So you normalize and then you average, and then when you expand that in terms of the separate averages of the denominator and numerator, you get higher terms, and the higher terms are in principle computable because they become.
I think you can do simulation.
To what?
Do simulation.
You
say I
may
want to
be able
use this approximation. I just use that log trace law is squared is verified.
As for the icing part, it has been done a long time.
The icing part is that, yeah. But the problem is that the higher one in principle you can also do simulation because there are also classical models. But so I should mention that because that's what we use also to calculate higher radiant. I will only mention that very briefly. So like if you calculate something like this thing, like normalize and then average, then you get some like the leading term, and then leading term is this one, and then the correction will contain like trace row square, average or something like that, and then other terms. And once you have this, you involve terms like 4 copies of this average, and then this thing, and also the same thing will show up if you calculate trace row to the 4. Same thing will show up. And then, oh, maybe there's a 3 already showing up. So let's say, in general you have this type of powers. Then this thing will become some constant times sum over all permutations. So now it's not just swap, it's not just cyclic permutation, it's sum over all permutations. So G is in the permutation group, and then you have all these permutations. So if you do this calculation for the tensor network, you also have a classical spin model, but the spin lives in the permutation group. So once you increase that power, it's growing factorial. So I think practically it's very hard. But if we stay in this large limit, all these models are not frustrating. So that limit is clear. Like you have the same kind of configuration giving you higher dimension, higher region. But systematically going away from that limit is not good.
Because you want to relate it to string series holographic, then you should say how to relate our plan curvature to string series. I don't understand how you do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not related to string series.
Yeah, if I want to quantitatively compare, then it will be difficult. But also, like, I mean, I can't really do that comparison because I can't really do a quantitative comparison because this thing already is a deviation from the gravitational field. So basically, so far, I mean, so the tensor networks gives us a very helpful qualitative understanding. But to get a more quantitative agreement with gravity, we need to modify. I still don't know how, but we certainly need modifications. Well, we need something to limit, but it's clear here that if you iteratively take the tensor network, the entropy behaviors do not agree with what we expect in gravitational theory or in CFT. Because what we get is in this large D limit, we get all the linear entities are the same. And this already is different. Like for example, in 1 plus 1 CFT, we know this thing looks like 1 plus 1 times something C is some finite, there is some independent regentry which we don't get in the level.
So this means it's not the swing series from one picture. It's more similar with the Lattice-Young scale theory. Because in Lattice-Young scale theory, you can do strong common expansion and linear summing is independent of n and linear order.
In lattice gauge theory.
Yeah. Lattice-Young is for SU1. But
that's right, but there's this kind of area law, and physically is very different from the area law you will get from gauge theory. Because
sure.
the degree of freedom do not live in the box.
Here is the minimum certainty. Young scale is just a complementary surface.
So like, I mean, area laws in we see in kinetic matter, we always see area laws. But usually that's like, I have a two-dimensional system living everywhere, and then you cut it, and you get an area law. That's not so surprising. So the tensor network basically is giving you a map by doing this random projection. It's basically this psi p is like such an area law state. It's like a trivial area law state. And then this mapping, this random projection maps such a state to an attribute state, which lives only on the boundary but still knows the area law in the box. That's basically the difference from something like lattice gauge theory.
So my question is clear why the log D would replay the law as an inverse temperature in this easy model picture.
Sorry, no.
The log D. Yeah. Why did log D play the law as a inverse temperature in the easy model picture?
Why does it play that?
Yeah.
Because it's
it do have some more. It's a bound dimension, right? So
yeah.
Why this bound dimension will play the law?
So it's like in the IC model you have a J SS and then there's a beta. So this thing is like a log D. I'm just I didn't write the beta. Sorry, I didn't write the J.
It's a bound dimension of the tensor network. So
yes, exactly. So the log of the bound dimension of the tensor network becomes like beta J of the tensor of the IC.
Okay. So it's in some way absorbed into the coupling constant.
Yeah. So it's like the dimensionless coupling constant for IC model. Like in IC model you have a coupling and you have a temperature, and the multiplication of them is the dimensionless number because the action is dimensionless.
But naively, I just think if I have a more bound dimension, why in some sense turn to more classical. Yeah, this is not so clear to me physically.
Yeah, physically, well, it's because the action itself is an entropy. So of course, when you have more bound dimension, you have a bigger entropy.
Okay, it's more thermal. But the beta coefficient is more low temperature in some sense.
Well, yes. So, but I mean, this model is not. This is
no,
this
it's
is
a
like a
model,
duality.
but I just have difficult to translate the bound dimension into the easy model, which corresponds to low temperature physics. Yeah.
For empiricism, because the log D is very. Yeah, I just say practical and materialist. If the log D over 2 is very, very large, then the fluctuation of SSSY does not need to be large to get the main conclusion.
The fluctuation will cost a lot.
Yeah, it's not necessary to be very large, so it's like just classical.
It's just this derivation tells me that this quantity is a sum over terms, and the terms are attributes of that state, attributes of this state with different regimes. So the Ising energy is like an entropy cost. Okay. Like say take the minimal energy, minimal surface, that's the lowest, that's the biggest term here, and the other terms are like this fluctuation, and then you ask, okay, how smaller is that in this term, and that means how big energy is that, and that so that entropy cost is given by cutting